everyone, and we have decided that we're going to help you with some of the rhythm games and the pulse games and the pitch games that we do in musicianship. So here is Bea.
Hi.
And here's Jemima.
Hi.
And Bertie's joining in. He might decide to stay, he might not. We'll see how we go. And I'm Becca. We're going to be doing our very, very first simple pulse rhyme that we learned at the very, very start of the year. So, girls, if you sit down on the floor. When we're learning rhymes, it's always a good idea to do a bit of call and response, line by line, keeping a steady beat. So the grown-up says a line and then the children respond, and it just helps them remember it in small chunks whilst keeping a nice steady beat. Okay, are we ready? Let's get our hands going. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready, steady, off I go. Pulse is a steady beat.
Pulse is a steady beat.
Feel it moving in your feet.
Feel it moving in your feet.
Always steady, keep in time.
Always steady, keep in time.
Tap your knee and say this rhyme.
Tap your knees and say this rhyme.
So even though the actual words say about feet, the very first pulse activity is probably easiest to do it on our knees. If we're struggling doing it with our knees, sorry Jemima, not that you're struggling, but I'm just going to show you, okay? Now we're going to say it through as a whole, okay? And if we have younger members of the family who want to join in but need a little bit of help, we could be holding onto a tea towel, we could be holding onto a stick, or we could be holding hands and making sure our hands are nice and floppy. Okay, are we ready? Ready, steady, off we go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Pat your knees and say this rhyme. Fantastic, okay? So, once we've got the hang of putting it on our knees, we can stand up. And we're going to put it into our feet. Now, marching to a beat is tricky because we're having to cross our two different sides of our brains and coordinate that while we're talking and keeping steady. And the temptation will be to rush. Which, because children have a faster tempo than grown-ups. Now, you can take it at that faster tempo, but it is also useful for children to be able to learn to go into a slow tempo. Okay, so let's get our feet going. At a medium tempo, we're going to compromise. Yeah? Medium speed. Okay, so let's get our feet going. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Touch your feet and say this rhyme. Okay, so we were marching our feet for that one. Once we get the hang of that, we can change the last line. Now, this time through, I'm going to be the leader, so I'm going to choose what we do. And on the last line, I'm going to say a different part of the body, what we're going to pat, or a different action that we're going to do that we can try and keep within the beat. And we're going to try and do it without hesitation. Okay, are we ready? Get your feet going first. That's the first one we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Pat your knee and say this rhyme. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Pat your head and say this rhyme. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. That's the end. We've done this rhyme. Fantastic, well done. That's a nice little ending that you can do when you've decided that we've had enough of this one. Right, then feeling confident at following the grown-ups instructions on that last line, you can hand over control. Now, the musical benefit of this is that the child knows probably the line before when it's going to be their turn. They've got in their mind the action that they want to do, but without losing the flow, they're going to take charge, okay? And then the rest of the group have to follow. So if you're working in pairs, you can take it in turns, all right? So I'm going to be in charge of the first suggestion. B, you're going to be in charge for the second suggestion. Jemima, you're going to be in charge for the third suggestion, and I'm going to finish us off. Are we ready? So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ready, steady, off we go. Let's get our feet going. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, steady, off we go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Tap your knees and say this rhyme. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time.
Clap your hands and say this rhyme.
Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time.
Do chicken wing and say this rhyme.
Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. That's the end, we've said this rhyme. Very good, fantastic. All right. So once you've gone through all of those stages and we're really good and we're happy to take control of the game, and the children can do it, if you've got siblings at home, they can do it with Inga, they can do it with either grown-up that you've got at home, and they can teach it to their friends at school. We have another layer that we can put in, which is very traditional to a sort of normal playground game. So if you sit on the floor for me, girls, facing each other. Pat a cake is something that we have done for years and years and years. It's such a traditional way of doing children's songs, and it is so essential for musical development because it really helps the left-right brain development and the coordination of the body whilst saying something, and because you're doing it with a partner, the feeling of pulse has to be steady for the game to work. Okay, so we're going to do a very simple pat a cake first, which is hands on the knees and then hands passing across. So when we're doing it like this, we're having to respond to our partner and use a bit of a brain working that out. But at this point, we're not having to cross our midline. So this should be a fairly easy first thing. We're going to take the pulse a little bit slower. So we're going to do knees and pat, knees and pat, knees and pat. Saying the action helps them get their bodies in. Saying pat, knees and pat. Ready, steady, off you go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Play pat a cake and say this rhyme. Okay, lovely. Now, this time we're going to have another go and we're going to cross the midline. So you do a clap. Hang on. Clap. And then pat diagonally. So here we're crossing our midline and we're responding to a different mirrored cue from the other person. So there's a lot going on here. As grown-ups, we just find this easy, but children really have to concentrate. So do it slowly to get the coordination. Clap and pat, clap and pat, clap and pat, clap and pat. And again, I know, Jemima, you can do this, but if you had a little one who was struggling, you want to have their arms nice and floppy. Do you want me to use B instead?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I'm older than you.
If you had a little one who was struggling, sorry B, yeah, hands nice and floppy, we're going to clap. Jemima, you do it as well. Clap and pat, clap and pat. So you get them to make floppy arms so that helps you manipulate them. And then you get looser and looser and let them take more control until you can let go. And still keep the clap and pat going so that they don't race away. Because the temptation with children will always be to do it faster and faster and faster. And the whole idea is that we're trying to keep a steady beat. Right. Okay, are we ready? So this time we're actually doing the sort of traditional pat a cake, okay? So let's get the pattern going first before we do it. And then I'm going to use ready, steady, off we go to tell you when we're going to start the rhyme. So let's get it going. Clap and pat, clap and pat, clap and pat. When it's steady, we start the rhyme. So ready, steady, off we go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Play pat a cake and say this rhyme. Now, if they got really good at that, we have feet in the rhyme. We could do it whilst marching. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
Go on, let's see if we go. We haven't practiced this. Let's see if we can do it. So let's get our feet going first. So not too fast. Ta, 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 ta. And then see if you can add the pat cake over the top. So tap and pat, tap and tap, tap and pat. Off we go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Play pat a cake and say this rhyme. Well done. Fantastic. Okay. So the last things we can do. So I'm progressively getting harder and harder with coordination challenge. This can be something that you build up over years with loads and loads of different pulse rhymes. So we're just using the same one. Do not expect to go through all of these stages. Jemima, how old are you?
7.
B, how old are you?
8, nearly 9.
8, nearly 9.
June 22nd.
Okay, so the earlier stages that we've shown you could be done maybe at age 3 and 4, or in the very early stages of developing your sense of pulse, 5 and 6 and 7. And then some of these activities that we're doing will just not be possible when you're 4. Your brain hasn't developed that level of coordination yet. Okay, and then we layer and layer and layer, and once we've layered them up, then these skills become possible. So what I would say is do not go to the level higher until the level below is more secure. Okay, and then if you want to attempt something more difficult, do the structured things where the grown-ups assist and help the body feel that pattern, rather than doing it sort of out of time and feeling that you've achieved something. Actually, you haven't achieved what it was that we needed, which is this really steady beat. Okay, we're adding in the balls. Always fun, this bit. Right, pick up the balls. So, the pulse that we've had is a ta pulse, and we're going ta, 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 ta. So, the way you can do this with is bounce and catch. So, ta would be a bounce and catch would be the next beat. So the bounce and catch lasts for 2 beats. So it's bounce, catch, bounce, catch, bounce, catch, bounce, catch. Ready, steady. Okay, let's get it steady. Off we go. Bounce, catch, bounce, catch, bounce, catch, bounce, catch. As you can see, it takes a bit of practice. Right, we're gonna get it going.
I'm not a basketball player, I'm a netball player.
We're gonna get it going, and then we're gonna say it over the top. And if it goes awry, I'm gonna keep a steady beat, and you guys can just do your bits. Okay, are we ready? I didn't practice it with my ball. Bounce and catch, bounce and catch, bounce and catch, bounce and catch. Ready, steady, off we go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Bounce a ball and say this rhyme.
Then it gets ta-da!
Then it gets more complicated. This is the final thing that we're going to do today. So we're going to do it twice through. Yeah. And we're going to finish off. So we're going to pass a ball and say this rhyme. Let's see if we go. Bounce. So bounce and catch, bounce and catch. Ready, steady, off you go. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Pass a ball and say this rhyme. Pulse is a steady beat. Feel it moving in your feet. Always steady, keep in time. Pass a ball, we've said this rhyme. Ta-da! So, thank you girls, that was wonderful. So, this last one that we're doing is probably on the edge of what this age group finds possible, and you notice that the pulse did rock a little bit when the ball skills were going slightly awry. As a grown-up, it's really tempting to sort of adapt, and I know I just did, to what the children are doing so that you allow them the time, but actually maybe we need to go back a stage and keep working on our ball bouncing individually, get that really secure, and then we would probably work at this level for another few weeks, maybe using this rhyme or maybe using lots of other rhymes for diversity, but we're still practicing the same skill. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as Bertie has. He looks riveted, doesn't he? That is a whistle-stop tour of all of the different activities that you can do when you're using rhymes to try and keep a steady beat. Right, girlies, You're going to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.